Watch him pull an AR-15 on the highway patrol.
The driver pulled over for speeding, pointed a rifle at a highway patrol officer yesterday. CHP says it happened just north of Reading on I-5. An officer stopped a vehicle on the Mountain Gate off-ramp.
Tim Black's BS detector.
Tim Black's BS detector.
Tim Black's BS detector.
So we've been covering the story of Ryan Hinton. Can't miss it, it's everywhere. Everyone's talking about Ryan Hinton, and and at the root of it, it's a young man who was 18 years old who lost his life. Go. And they say, I don't say this, they say, hey, he had a gun, he had it in his hand, and then the police officer thought he pointed the gun at him. I looked at the clip several times. I see no gun, and I see nothing being pointed at the officer whatsoever. In fact, I see a scared young man who didn't even see the cop when he was running, but wasn't even running towards the cop. He was running towards the woods. And the cop shot him in the back 4 times. That's what I saw. But at the root of all of that is this idea that he had a gun. He had a gun, so we had no choice. And even the grandfather, Rodney Hinton Sr., got up on a press conference and he said,
I'm Rodney Hinton Sr. I want to give a condolence out to the officer that got killed, my whole family. I'm asking for forgiveness, and I've been praying hard for the officer that killed my grandson. And I've been praying hard for the officer that killed my grandson. I've been praying hard for him and his family because I know he's hurting off this.
I saw 2 people afraid. My grandson was afraid, and the officer was afraid. Good people, both afraid. And look, man, I want to give grace to anybody who lost a child. I know what it's like. So I'm not saying he's not entitled to feel the way he feels, but I feel a certain kind of way about that type of narrative. But I think it's way past time that black people stop doing that. We get killed so often by cops, and particularly when they don't have any proof. Show me the proof first. Prove what you're saying. Look, I understand a person wants to fight for their life. Someone's afraid for their life. You ever been afraid for your life? Yeah, okay. I have. Ever had anybody pull a gun on you? I have. I know what that's like. No fun at all. If I had a gun, they would have been gone. So I get that, but that's not what I saw. You don't get to just make up stuff.
Oh, but let me say this before we started, just in case you're not aware of the situation. I know I mentioned a little bit. 17-year-old running around like a thug with a stolen gun in his hand with an extra magazine. Who knows what crimes were committed with that gun? In a stolen vehicle, get pulled over by the police. He's running from the police after not obeying no commands that they were giving him. They show a picture of the gun in his right hand. He's running with the gun in his hand. The body-worn camera that we're privy to doesn't show the full story. It doesn't look like he pointed the gun. It doesn't look like he pointed the gun. It doesn't look like he pointed the gun. It doesn't clearly look like he pointed the gun on the body-worn camera, but that doesn't really matter.
I can't believe people take this person seriously. So let me get this right, conservatives, and those who think it's okay for cops to shoot unarmed people and claim fear, and there be no gun in their hand at the time, pointed at them. Matter of fact, Ohio is an open carry state, so that ain't even enough for you to say he had a gun. You got to say he was pointing a gun, because Ohio has a lot of people with guns. But my point is this: you would deny a person minding their own business who says, I want to be seen as this gender. This is how I want to identify. You say, screw you. I see you as a guy, and I'm going to call you a guy. But if an officer says that black man that I had to shoot 4 times had a gun pointed at me, and I say, hey, I don't see a gun in his hand, you go, but you got to believe the officer. See, you're not a patriot. You're only doing that because it's black. Now I'm doing it because I don't see a gun in his hand. The same way you don't see breasts on that man or a uterus on that man. You can't see his uterus. But the same way you see a guy when you saw that Adam's apple. So you want it both ways. That's why I call you a bigot. Or racist. Or just straight up a liar. But bigger than that, a coward who won't admit any of the above. To that point, I saw this clip floating around on X. It's a very interesting clip of a white man pointing a gun at a cop, and nothing happens.
Watch him pull an AR-15 on the highway patrol.
A driver pulled over for speeding pointed a rifle at a highway patrol officer yesterday. CHP says it happened just north of Reading on I-5. An officer stopped a vehicle on the Mountain Gate off-ramp. The driver, they say, got out of the car, pointed the AR-style assault rifle toward the officer. Officials say the suspect re-entered his vehicle and then they started pursuit. Vehicle continued southbound, driving at varying speeds before exiting the freeway at Oasis, continuing for about 2 miles west before stopping near Vigil Court. The suspect taken into custody, booked into Shasta County Jail.
Tim Black's BS detector.
Tim Black's BS detector.
Tim Black's BS detector.
And he's alive to tell about it. He's alive and well. He went into custody. You knew he had a gun when you were pulling him over, and you weren't even afraid then. Not only were you not afraid when he had the gun pointed at you, just backed away and let him go, but then when you caught up with him, finally, miles later, no one was so afraid that they shot him. And he had pointed a gun at the cop. He got out the car and pointed the gun. But for some reason, that officer was not afraid. Folks, what I'm getting to is this. Not everything can be compared to each other. You know, we got apples and oranges and apples and oranges. But for the love of all things righteous, are we going to just admit that cops choose what they do? They choose what they do. They make a decision. A lot of this comes down to a cop just decided not to end you. And another cop decided to take a life. Period. Period. I don't care if there's crocodile tears later from that officer. They made a decision. And what I'm saying is, those decisions are made biasly. Anybody with the audacity to get out of their car with a gun extended, pointed at the cop, and lives to tell the tale. So as y'all want to make this claim that, whatever this is, that, we be over-exaggerating where we want to play victim. We all know that's reactionary nonsense, right? We know that. We don't listen. I don't listen to it. But this is a perfect example of cops making a decision to save a guy's life. And look, and I'm glad he saved the guy's life. Obviously, the guy didn't shoot the cop. Obviously, the cop made the right decision because he's alive and so is the guy. And that's the better outcome. I would rather that outcome be the outcome. Okay? But see, that's the same outcome I want for us. That's all. I'm not saying go shoot white guys. I'm saying stop shooting black kids. Stop shooting black men. That's all. That's it. I'm not saying you gotta go, eye for an eye, you gotta go shoot white guys. Why aren't you shooting white guys? You better shoot more white guys. Nah, how about nobody gets shot? If you ain't gonna shoot white guys, stop shooting black guys. And hell, stop shooting the Latinos too. I know a lot of times you can't tell if they're white or black, but just so make sure you don't stop shooting Asians. Stop shooting everybody. How about nobody gets shot who's not an imminent threat? It's what people imagine. And that's giving you, and you know what? And that is giving you all types of benefit of the doubt. Because I could just call you a race soldier and be done with you. The same way you stereotype us. All right, folks, let me know in the comment section what you think about this. I mean, folks, I think it's obvious. I think it's obvious. You got to have your head up your... All right, let's go. Perfect. You made it to the end of the video. I appreciate you. Now, Google thinks this next video is going to be perfect for you. It's right up your alley. So click the next video, watch that with me, and let's keep this politics going. You're built for this.